Okay, so you have your Broadway, and she is just so lovely, beautiful. By now, you should have both sides of the skirt done um, and ready to go. What we're going to do now is we're going to learn about the quick mask mode real quick. Quick mask mode is a simple way to select things and to clean things up without having to use the eraser tool and switch back and forth between tools. I use it quite often, especially when I'm editing things and I want to be close and precise. So what we're going to do is create a new layer, name it gloves, and then we're going to zoom in, and I'm going to zoom in using the magnifying glass, and just I'm going to kind of draw a square, but I didn't have to draw a square, just it's on scrubby zoom. So I'm zoomed in on this lovely glove right here, and I'm going to use the lasso tool now, just a regular lasso tool. If you click on it and hold, remember that if there's a little triangle at the bottom of your box, there are other tools behind it. Now, the only two tools that don't have any other tools behind it is the zoom and the select or the move tool. All the other tools have other things underneath it. So I'm going to use just the regular lasso tool, and I'm just going to lasso around this glove like so. And then I am going to hit the letter Q. Q brings us into quick mask mode. Also hitting this little square down here with the circle inside of it also takes me in and out of it. But Q does the exact same thing. Okay? And what this does is everything that is in red is what is not selected. Everything that is in white is selected. So you can just use your brush tool here and make sure your opacity is at 100%. Use a hard edge brush for this. Sometimes I use a soft edge brush, but today we're just using a hard edge brush. And then with black on top, because black will act kind of like an eraser, you fill in red, so the areas that you do not want selected. Kind of have to think in reverse. Now obviously my brush is too big to get into that little area, so I'll have to resize it here in a second. And notice that I got into this, and I'm not going to worry about undoing it because I did quite a bit and I don't want to undo it. When you're in the quick mask mode, you don't have to worry about undoing. Like when you're using an eraser, if you accidentally erase something, you have to undo it. With a quick mask mode, you don't have to undo it. You can actually go back in and fix it, and that's what's nice about the quick mask mode, so that you don't have to worry about that. Now I'm just going to make a smaller brush so I can get into here, like so, and so. And then I need to erase that. So if I hit X, it'll toggle back and forth between white and black, because I want white up here because I want to get rid of what I accidentally painted. You can also just hit this little arrow tool right here, but X switches between foreground and background, which is black and white. Make sure those are black and white. If they're not, hit D, and that'll default it to black and white. Now you can also, I can just also erase in here because my gloves are going to be the same color. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. Ooh, not that big. Yeah, that's good. And sometimes I just go over because I know I can come back in and fix it easier. I'm going to make a smaller brush to get rid of those lovely buttons, because I want those a different color. The smaller. Now remember that we are working on a very low resolution image. So therefore, brushes, like 11 looks a lot larger than what it would if I were working on a higher image. Okay, so now I have that. Now I have to get out of quick mask mode before I do anything else. So I just hit Q. Now both of my things are selected and I can pick the color of the gloves that I want. I'm going to give her red gloves. And I am going to fill that with Option Delete. Remember that that's the shortcut to fill the top. Command Delete is the shortcut to fill the bottom. Foreground, background, top, bottom. And then I'm going to go into my blending mode and switch the blending mode. I'm just going to do multiply. Maybe I'll do not that. Difference turns it blue. Not what I want. Vivid light's really ugly. Apparently we'll just do multiply. Okay, deselect, Command D deselects. Now what we're going to do is we're going to learn the second way to add value. So we're going to fill in these legs using a skin tone. So you can use whatever method you want to use for this. I used the magic wand tool to select the two legs, but I can't use the magic wand tool to select the feet, the skin within the feet. So I will have to use the quick mask mode to do that. So and I also want to use the quick mask mode to go over that leg. I don't want that not selected because I'm going to use multiply anyway. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go into quick mask mode, and I need to paint into here too because I accidentally painted over that. So I'm going to use my brush and whoops, X, paint that out, paint this out. I'll have to go into that layer and fix that. And then I want this in here because this is part of her skin. And remember, sometimes Mrs. really just overpaints rather than switching my brush size because I know I can go back in and just erase with my quick mask mode. And ironically, it actually does save time, believe me. I know, because I tend to toggle through brush sizes quite a bit. Except for right there, I do need to probably use. Now I'm doing this a bit sloppy. I'm going to make that one smaller. Perfect. Okay, so now I have that, and I need to get rid of this because this is part of the dress. Make that brush bigger. It is not her leg. Okay. So get out of quick mask mode. Now I'm going to go into my colors over here. If they're not shown up, you can use F6 or I guess it was over here. I'm going to go into swatches and I'm going to pick a nice skin tone, which I'm going to pick this one right here. So now I have a skin tone here. I'm going to fill that. And now I have this lovely leg right here. I am going to keep this selected. So that way I don't dodge and burn in areas that I don't want to because I accidentally put this on its the wrong layer. So let's go in and create a new layer. Legs. Now I can fill that in. Now I can deselect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the dodge and burn tool. The dodge and burn tool is located by this lollipop right here. That's the dodge. That's going to make things lighter. The burn tool is going to make things darker. So if I do burn, I would turn the exposure down to about 20-25% because you can go over it quite a few times. You want to make sure Protect Tones is on. This one's really nice to use with the tablet because it will give you some really good tones. You can go over it a lot easier. It's more like a brush. I would definitely turn that on if you're using your tablet. You could also airbrush if you wanted to as well. I tend to make this a little bit bigger and turn this down just a little bit so I can go over it. So, and then I think about where it would be dark, like the back of her thighs would be dark and her calf would be dark, and then I can go over that. Now I use this quite a bit when I'm doing drawings and things like that. Then I'm going to go right in here. I'm going to make that smaller because that overlap will definitely be darker. Turn that up just a little. Burn that in here. So you kind of got to know about shading when you're doing this. And then the same thing with the burn or the dodge tool. Turn that down just a little, 26, 30%. Open that up. Now this I want to highlight because it's coming out. Go back to my burn tool here and burn in here. Now you don't want to look like she's sunburned or anything like that. I'm going to go here, turn that to multiply, go back to my dress, use the eraser, get rid of that so it looks better. Voila. So when you're all done, you need to have this lovely lady all colored up. You need to use the dodge and burn tool more than just on her legs. If you prefer to use the double layer like in her dress, you can do that as well. I would suggest, you know, highlighting different areas. Make sure you do her face. Make sure that she does not have jaundiced eyes. In other words, pay attention to the whites of her eyes. They should not be yellow when you fill them in. Make sure you're using your quick mask mode for that. You can give her eyes color. You can be as creative as you want. That is one thing that you are graded on, is creativity for this. When you're all done, flatten it, save it as a JPEG and hand it in. Everything needs to be filled except for, of course, the background.